Hey, what up everyone? I'm Sinnycool and this is Gems of War. And today I have three teams for you for the Journey event. We have a Brown Dwarf restriction, so it's pretty difficult. A Brain Buster, a puzzle only Sinnycool can solve. So, let's go with the mid-level team first, which I think is probably the best one. I like, kind of like all of my teams here. This one might actually be the second best. But Ruby Weapon. Ruby Weapon is brown, and weapons aren't restricted when you have like a dwarf restriction, like a troop type restriction. You don't have to restrict your weapons. It's a brown restriction, brown dwarf restriction, so you're really only restricted to brown weapons. So Ruby Weapon is a brown weapon, the red macaque, or however you say it. So hopefully you have that. If you don't, though, I got two other teams on here. If you have that, just tailor your whole team around the Ruby Weapon. Obviously, use the Pathfinder, the new Journey troop there. Get it in the shop. Cormac, the Restless, I think his name is. Buy up to the weapon in the Journey shop at least. Get your Journey troop fully ascended, fully traded, fully fullied, all that good stuff. I usually just put them on the bottom of the team because they're not as good as they used to be, so it's not going to be the main star of the show or anything like that. But in this restriction, man, it's tough. There really isn't a main star of the show, so we got the Ruby Weapon. Game is loading a lot today. I don't know what's up with that. Sorry about that. Could have cut all that out, but didn't. Live stream tomorrow, by the way. We'll do the weekly preview and all the rest of the stuff tomorrow. I just wanted to get you your Journey teams today. It's Labor Day. Everybody's off. We just had a chatathon. New month. I don't know. Just felt fine to be doing this. But I have Excavator, the Ruby Weapon. What's his name? King Highforge, and the Journey troop, the Pathfinder. So what we're doing here is Excavator, we're trying to get it up as soon as possible, so we're 50% starting it with King Highforge. He's 50% start for Dwarfs. Then we're going to be casting the Excavator on a column with the most brown in it, which we have Titan class, so a bunch of brown is falling. We should have a bunch of brown on the board, so it should be easy to then find a column with a bunch of brown in it, target that column with Excavator, and then make a bunch of red on the board, which will then get up the Ruby Weapon. There really wasn't another way to be doing this. When you have a restriction like Dwarf Brown Dwarfs, all of the troops suck. So you have to use your weapon. So you can't really be using like the wand or some other mana generating weapon. We kind of have to use our weapons. Think weapons. When it's really a crappy restriction, think weapons. So we got the Ruby Weapon, which is one of the best weapons in the game. And then three supporting characters that aren't very good. But get up your Ruby Weapon, cast it. Excavator will help you do that. King Highforge will 50% start the Excavator. Cormac has to be there, can finish stuff off, and puts brown up on the board. King Highforge can even hit some stuff and summon. So that's the best I can come up with if I had access to everything in the game. But here's another one. This one is actually the high-level team. The last one was the mid-level team because there was no mythics. You notice there was no mythics on the first one. This one was actually kind of fun and working as well. So once again, I thought weapons. What am I going to do here? I came across the Doom Spade. The Doom Spade is actually the way we do Journey troops now, pretty much, because it's the only... if you do all brown on your team, and the enemy team is mostly brown, like look over here, we got 3 brown troops on the enemy team. So the Doom Spade hits 2 enemies and then does brown gems based on how many brown allies and enemies there are. So looks like there's a decent amount of brown enemies, and we make our whole team brown because it's a brown restriction, so it has to be. So it's probably one of the best times you could use your Doom Spade. So I went with that, then I built around the Doom Spade. So, trying to think of other troops that put brown on the board. Of course, Cormac does, the Journey troop. And then, I don't even like Stonehammer that much, but he's a really good tank. He does put brown on the board, brown and red. And then we got King Highforge again to 50% start the Stonehammer, since his mana cost is pretty high. We might as well 50% start him. He's kind of blocking our Spade on brown, but what you do is you cast your Stonehammer, Stonehammer, Stonehammer until you get up your Spade, and then you kind of leave Stonehammer, you don't cast him again, and then you're just casting your Spade and your Cormac to throw a bunch of brown on the board. We don't want to be casting Stonehammer if we don't have to, but you kind of have to to get to get it going. So just overcast your Stonehammer until it fills your Spade, and then start casting your Spade. The reason we did that is because Stonehammer is such a good tank. Like, We never get to use him, and it's like you got to put him in first slot. If you're ever using Stonehammer, he like almost has to be in first slot, or it's kind of a waste. You could do something way better, probably. He has like 80% skull reduction, so you're probably not going to get killed by skulls. So Stonehammer in first, fill him up, cast him. He'll throw a bunch of red and brown on the board. You're hoping you get an extra turn, but it's not always guaranteed. He'll fill up High Forge and himself, and then hopefully it overflows into your spade. Once it does, you cast your spade at the highest priority, and then Carmack after that, and then spade and Carmack, spade and Carmack. You don't cast your Stonehammer unless you have to, unless there's nothing else going on. Really not trying to cast the High Forge at all. He's just there to 50% start your Stonehammer. But if you have to, if you need to summon somehow, you need to summon, or you just got nothing else, you need to finish something off, you could cast it. But mostly we're trying not to cast the King High Forge. So Stonehammer until you get Spade up, and then Spade and Cormac to keep that board as brown as possible and to loop as much as you can. Rune Priest was the class there. I think first team was Titan. Second team was Rune Priest, because we're trying to make our whole team Dwarf and our whole team Brown. Because Cormac boosts off of Dwarf allies, and the Spade boosts off of Brown allies. So that's why I did Rune Priest there. And we could 50% start the Rune Priest with the King High Forge. Alright, so this was the hardest, obviously, the low-level team. It's the Journey event, first of all. It's the hardest guild event in the game. And then you have Brown Dwarves as the restriction. So the hardest guild event in the game, maybe other than like Guild Wars, but that's a weekend event. I'm talking like the beginning of the week guild event. Journey is probably the hardest one. I don't think anybody would disagree. And then you have Brown Dwarves as the restriction. Like, come on. Like, that's ridiculous. So ridiculous restriction is maybe what I'll call this video. Ridiculously hard restriction. Only Sinnycool can figure it out and help you and make it easier on you and save you time and money and everything. But yeah, this is what I got for you for low level. I'm hoping you have the Ruby Weapon or the Doom Spade or something like that. But if you don't, we got Mang. So Mang is a brown weapon. Mang is our hero from way back in the day. So it's like the Clint Eastwood of weapons. It's coming from the past into the future to save us all. Because we don't use it that much anymore. It is a weapon you do shoot for early in the game in case you come across something like this. Like, this is a perfect example of why you would go after Mang with your mastery early game. Like, choosing brown and red and purple early instead of, like, green and yellow and blue. Well, you want to get Mang just in case something like this happens right here. So you can still be powerful even though you don't have very many troops. So we got Mang, we got Excavator, we got Moira, and then we got the Carmack, the Restless, of course. You have to use Carmack, he has to be on the team. Reason that's a thing is you get more miles, you get more points, he does really good damage, single target damage. He's throwing Brown up on the board, we have Brown troops. Like, it's really ridiculous if you don't have Carmack on your team. Like, that would be crazy. You'd have to be like a level 50 beginner not to have Carmack on your team. So throw him on the bottom. We got Mang on top, of course, because what Mang does. Mang takes the armor from the enemy, converts it to attack on itself, and then pretty much does true damage with its spell. But it's only single target, but what you're doing is you're building up your attack, building up your attack, building up your attack, taking skulls, taking skulls, taking skulls. And on weakened enemies, pretty much. So you go top to bottom. So you cast your Mang on the first slot, then you cast your Mang on the second slot, then you cast your Mang on the third slot. Because you want to be able to soak in as much armor as possible. Sometimes that's not exactly 100% how it goes, because if you hit them with skulls and then get your Mang up, of course the first slot's not going to have any armor. But you want to go from like top to bottom as long as they have armor, like all their armor. If they don't have all their armor, skip to the second slot or third slot. Just make sure you're always getting as much armor as you can, but also going from top to bottom as much as you can. Then the Excavator's going to do the same thing it did in the other team. We got a bunch of brown on the board. We're going to target columns with, hopefully 3, 4, 5 brown in it. And then we hit that column and it turns the board red. Hopefully get an extra turn. It fills your Mang, and then you cast your Mang. Moira is there because we need some sort of skulls. And she uses blue. Nothing else on the team uses blue. She turns green to skull, and she does spell damage. So the only troop I could really think of that was good enough to help the Mang. Right here, they switched my team around. This is not a good example of how to use the team. If they switch your team around, you're kind of screwed and whatnot. So, you know, you could do Earth's Fury, but we're hoping they don't do this, and they only did that one time. So most of the time you'll be fine with the Mang in first slot. You got Titan class with Rock Solid, with your barrier. You know, you're stealing their armor, converting it to attack, like bang, hopefully crushing. Like the goal is to have like 200, 300, 400 attack by the time you are hitting them with skulls. And then you're draining their armor away, weakening them. You're hitting them with true damage with spells, and then you're turning green to skull with Moira, and hopefully getting an extra turn. But if it's not, it's okay. You'll have a lot of attack. Just do it. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. Like, share, subscribe, consider joining. It helps a lot. Tell your good about the channel, comment below. And I'll see y'all next time, which is tomorrow. We'll do everything else. Calendar, weekly preview, faction event. See ya there. Peace.